No man undertakes a trade he has not learned, even the meanest, yet everyone thinks himself sufficiently qualified for the hardest of all trades, that of government. Socrates. Most of us want to live a life of virtue. We want to be decent human beings and surround ourselves with trustworthy, kind, and generous friends. But how do we genuinely become that kind of person? And how do we attract others who embody those same values? Long before modern psychology tried to answer this question, a man named Socrates explored it in the streets of Athens. While most people remember Socrates through the writings of Plato, there's another lesser-known account of his life and teachings, the Memorabilia, written by Xenophon. Xenophon wasn't just a philosopher or historian, he was also a soldier and a close companion of Socrates. His portrayal is more grounded, less idealized, a man of flesh and bone rather than a vessel of abstract thought. And in one particular passage of the Memorabilia, Book 2, Chapter 6, we encounter a conversation that gets to the heart of what it means to be both a good person and a good friend. Socrates is speaking with a young man named Critobulus, the son of Crito, a wealthy and well-known Athenian. The question posed is deceptively simple. How does one go about finding a good friend? Socrates begins not with qualities like charisma or charm, but instead with a stern look at self-control. He asks Critobulus whether someone who is ruled by indulgence, whether in food, drink, sex, or sloth, can be relied upon. The answer is obvious. No, such a person is a slave to their desires and incapable of being truly good, not even to themselves, much less to others. The root of goodness, according to Socrates, is temperance, the ability to govern oneself. Without it, there can be no consistency, no trust, and no meaningful friendship. He points out that a person who constantly hungers for more, be it money, pleasure, or praise, can never be a good friend. Greed is the enemy of loyalty. Critobulus then asks a pivotal question. What kind of person, then, should we strive to befriend? Socrates answers with clarity, someone who is moderate in their pleasures, honest in their dealings, generous with those who have treated them well, and content with what they have. In other words, a person whose internal world is not in constant turmoil. A person who can share joy and hardship with others without being consumed by envy, rage, or insatiable want. Socrates draws a compelling analogy. When we're looking for a good sculptor, we don't take their word for it. We look at their sculptures. Likewise, if we're looking for a good friend, we should look at how they treat the people already in their lives. Words are cheap. Actions reveal character. Then comes a more cynical observation. Can wicked people find good friends? The answer is a resounding no. Why? Because wickedness creates instability. It erodes trust. Socrates even broadens the scope. Whole cities, he notes, can proclaim virtue and yet descend into conflict due to unreliability and self-interest. This failure isn't just individual, it's systemic. And it begins with a lack of self-control and a thirst for more than one needs. This brings Socrates to the heart of the human paradox. We are social creatures who need others, yet we are also competitive creatures who crave the same things. True friendship, then, is not born out of convenience, but out of shared values and mutual temperance. A real friend does not envy your success or hoard their own. They share, they support, and they remain steady through life's turbulence. Critobulus, eager to grow, asks Socrates to recommend him to such virtuous people. But Socrates declines to offer hollow praise. Instead, he gives a sobering lesson. He imagines what would happen if he falsely recommended Critobulus as a skilled sailor or capable leader. In both cases, disaster would follow, not just for Critobulus, but for those who place their trust in him based on Socrates' words. Here lies the moral center of the conversation. Socrates explains that if you wish to be seen as good, the safest and most honorable path is to become good. Not to pretend, not to perform, but to learn, to train, to practice, just as you would with any craft. Virtue is not a gift handed down by the gods, it's a discipline. And like all disciplines, it demands time, humility, and effort. Socrates closes with the wisdom that should echo through time. The most efficient, safest, and noblest path to being thought to be good at whatever one wishes is to try to become good at it. The truth, he says, is that every virtue, courage, wisdom, generosity, justice can be developed, but only if we are willing to do the work. In a world flooded with self-promotion, empty praise, and curated identities, this ancient conversation feels strikingly modern. It reminds us that real character can't be faked and that genuine friendship isn't something we stumble upon. It's something we build, brick by brick, through the practice of virtue. In the end, Socrates wasn't just offering advice on friendship, he was pointing the way to a deeper life, a life of self-mastery, a life that attracts not followers but companions. And in this age of noise and speed, what could be more needed than that?